kind words. National Theatre Live, and one survives. This is Staying In. Hands up here. Hands up.
Yeah.
Who can do an impression of Loyd Grossman? I don't want to hear anything. Just hands up. Chris, hands up. Dan, hands up. Pete, are you pulling that face because you don't think you can do an impression of Loyd Grossman, or you don't know who Loyd Grossman is?
Could we have Pete's impression of what he thinks Loyd Grossman would sound like?
Actually, hang on, Chris. Before we even go down this rabbit hole that I'm going to take us on, is Loyd Grossman okay to talk about?
It is one of those things you need to Google, because it's like they're either dead or they're in jail. From that period of time.
Is it enough to see to go on his Wikipedia and see that controversy isn't one of the subheaders?
Yeah. It's exactly that. Yeah.
I think he's all right. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
That's right. So Pete, what do you think Loyd Grossman sounds like?
I think he sounds like. Well, let's go over here and try the dish prepared by contestant A.
That's
a pretty good impression.
Wow.
That's a very good impression. Chris, what does your Loyd Grossman sound like?
Who lives in a house like this? David, it's over to you.
So that was mine as well.
What do you mean that was yours?
It's my voice.
Genuinely, when I was a child, I thought I could do a really good impression of Loyd Grossman. So the fact that you've come up with this makes me think that somehow you've dug into like my childhood and found this out about me. That when I was a child, I was convinced I could do a great impression, but that was when I was a child, and then my voice broke. So
let's just have 5 seconds of silence where we forget what Chris just did, right? And then Dan, in your own time, when you're ready, do you want to take a sip of water or something?
No pressure.
Yeah, take a sip of
just
water.
wet the whistle.
Channel Loyd.
Wet the whistle. We've all forgotten what Chris did.
I've forgotten who Chris is.
And then Dan, in your own time, the impression you thought was good 20 years ago.
Who would live in a house like this? David, it's over to you.
I mean,
I was a child. My voice has changed a lot since then.
I think we all were, Dan.
I'm not pretending it's good now.
I mean, it sounds great. I mean, is it good?
Maybe it was 20 years ago, but I was thinking, like,
Right.
Well, hang on a minute. There are 4 people on this podcast, Sam.
oh yeah, okay.
You're throwing us to the wolves.
I did mine off air. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
Loyd Grossman, right, was like the impression of the 90s. Like, everyone could do a Loyd Grossman.
And if you couldn't do that, you could do an Ace Ventura.
Go on.
Yeah, I'm not claiming anything for this.
Yeah. You look like, Pete, it felt like you were really fishing for that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I can't remember what he's doing. So it's what's his famous catchphrase?
Ace Ventura?
It's all righty then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Said exactly like that. All righty then.
Alrighty then.
Deadpan.
Yeah.
But who would be, like... There is a reason for this Loyd Grossman rabbit hole that I brought us on, but my tangent to it is, like, what is the equivalent now? Like, what's the impression the kids are doing in the playgrounds?
Well, kids are
Like,
just playing
I thought-
Fortnite. I don't think they're doing impressions of, like,
No,
very standard
Dan-
middle class primetime television.
Dan, I
cookery
think
hosts.
Sam's onto something here. I definitely think children will be doing impressions of people, but I think it's like, maybe it's like a YouTuber that we don't know about. Like, it strikes me that they're probably, like, kids probably aren't watching, you know, let's be honest, they're probably not watching MasterChef or Through the Keyhole anymore, okay? But they're probably watching, I don't know, someone on YouTube who's like, doing impressions of, saying things like, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell. I know who it is. It'll be that lad who plays Fortnite, the
Ninja.
Ninja. It'll be Ninja. They'll do impressions of Ninja.
Or like Feel Good or whatever he's called.
Feel Good?
What is he? What's his like?
Feel Good. Isn't that a Bond girl?
Dr. Disrespect. I was thinking of Dr. Feelgood, and then
oh my god, that is immediately. If any young people have listened because of episode 100, they're immediately like, these people are too old. These are not the people that I should be listening to.
Okay, so the reason for this Loyd Grossman tangent is that MasterChef has become the program whilst I'm at home and in lockdown that me and my wife have been turning to for like the what would you call it? Just like that little like bit of like escapism that
much comfort television,
respite.
Yeah, like nothing bad ever permeates through MasterChef. Like the outside world doesn't exist. It's just this like little bubble where like in terms of like external influences, it's very, very isolated. It's
unique in a quantum universe that you can always predict exactly what MasterChef is going to be. You know that there's not going to be some horrible, terrible thing that comes along. But you also know that he's going to take one of those very tiny spoons, pop it into a little dessert that's been made, and then very suck on the end of it. Like, this is very like, you're going to get that. Basically.
And you also get Greg Wallace shouting, "It's put time!" really loud. And I love it. Also, it is the most bonkers show in terms of like how the format works. I've had to write this down because the whole like setup of MasterChef is so bonkers.
Right.
But one of the reasons it's been such a staple in our house is like, oh, we're like making a real effort to take a break from everything that's going on and we're going to sit down and watch this.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they pump out episodes. There's so many episodes. So there's 60 contestants who fight out to become MasterChef. And that's done over 24 episodes, and there's 3 episodes every week. What? So first you get the heats in one episode where 6 contestants cook a dish. There's 2 winners. Then the other 4 do an invention test, and then there's 2 more winners. And then those 4 cook a 2-course meal, and then 1 goes home. And then whoever survives that, and this is my favourite thing about MasterChef, goes on to what they call knockout week.
Right. What happens in knockout week?
As if it's any different to what's happened before.
You've really intensely gotten into this in a way that I sort of thought you were going to end all of that with, and so jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
I mean, it sounds less like a cooking show and more like the Maze Runner.
Yeah. It is like really comforting.
Yeah, no, I've been finding I've been finding a great deal of beauty in. Alex and I have been playing Animal Crossing, and we've gotten to the point now where we are talking about our villagers and our village in the same breath as talking about real world things. So, like, for example, I'll be told, you need to load the dishwasher. Oh, and by the way, later we need to make sure that Apple's got her house in the right place because, she's going to be annoyed otherwise. Oh, and like, I'll have like, thanks very much for doing that spot of lunch. By the way, you really need to make sure that the flowers get put in the right place because otherwise we are not going to get 5 stars from the Happy Home Academy.
So are you sharing a save with Alex?
Yeah. So with the new one, you can have like
It's the next stage of the relationship, Dan.
I tell you what though, honestly, like our relationship is solid as a rock, but Animal Crossing may destroy us if we're not lucky. Because it's my Switch and I was the first person to play my copy of the game.
Already, I can see cracks.
Yeah,
This is my Switch.
here's the thing. I have complete admin rights over the entire village because the game just gives that to me. But they don't give it to Alex's character because she's like a secondary character essentially.
Can you play? Can you play at the same time like that, or
You can, but like in the way that like the second player can't really do anything.
oh right? So you just like come in to the living room and you'll see Alex on Animal Crossing, and do you get like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like,
what?
it's just like,
Why are you talking to him?
Yeah, we said we weren't talking to him anymore.
I needed those sky eggs. But that's what's giving me quite a lot of enjoyment and sort of like that same. Let's come up with the phrase. The sort of MasterChef certainty at this sort of time. Yeah.
Of no external presence.
Yeah.
Chris?
I've clocked out around nearly 70 hours in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I love this.
What's that? I've kind of just been doing a combination of what all you guys have been doing. I've been watching Disney Plus. My wife also has never watched Star Wars. She's now watched the first 7 films and enjoying them. Not as much as me, but that's okay. I've been watching a new series of season 6 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's just landed on Netflix, so I've been watching that because I never watched that when that came out. But yeah, and then I've also been watching theatre online.
Dan, is this the National Theatre?
Yeah, so the National Theatre have been have released one at time of recording. They released one which was One Man Two Governors.
Yeah,
Good show. I saw that live.
I've seen it live. I didn't see the original cast live, but I have seen it live.
I saw it with Rufus Hound.
Yes, Rufus Hound.
I saw
Yes.
it. I saw it with the because the original cast had James Corden in the lead. I saw it when his understudy took over.
Oh, damn it. Were you hoping to see James Corden?
No, James Corden already left, but when he left, his understudy took over the role. So,
Oh, right. I was hoping you're just like, big night tonight, gonna see a celebrity. And it's just like, tonight, the role of James Corden will be played by...
Wolf off of Gladiators.
I love these little insights into Pete's perception of popular culture. He could have picked anyone, and he went for Wolf from Gladiators.
Pete is like the mayor of a little seaside town. Who should we get to switch on our lights this year?
I saw Jet turn on the Christmas lights in Tunbridge Wells. So...
Yeah, by the way, that reaction was the appropriate reaction to your anecdote there, Pete.
So what do you do? Do you just like log in and just watch it on your
It's on YouTube.
TV?
Yeah,
or-
well, the National Theatre live stuff is just on YouTube. So it's a 2-hour show. They premiere it at a certain time. So from like, I think it's like 7:00 maybe on Thursday. I'm kind of guessing at this. Go online, you'll find out exactly when it is. They premiere it, and that will play live. Well, I say live. It's obviously not live because it's a pre-recorded thing. And then once that's finished, it then gets made available for 7 days to watch on demand. And then it'll be taken off and it's replaced by another one. So I think the next one is Jane Eyre that they're doing, but they're doing, I think there's some Shakespeare that they're doing as well. Lots of different styles of play, so it's not just specifically one area. But I just really I love theatre. We've all kind of got a theatre background in some shape or form.
yeah.
And I just love going to theatre, but I so rarely ever get to do it because it's so expensive and it's so difficult to kind of, especially with a child, it's so difficult to go out and see it. So to have kind of theatre in the house is amazing. And I mean, One Man Two Governors, I think is a fantastic show. It's not typically my usual kind of show that I like, but it works really, really well. So I really, really enjoyed it. But it's not just National Theatre. You can, like, RSC are releasing loads online as well. Fleabag, the Phoebe Waller-Bridge stage show, is being made available on Amazon Prime. I think you pay £4 for it, and they're making it available for a limited time. So there's just this thing about having theatre accessible wherever you are, that you're not having to live in London or travel, make a huge big effort. I can sit at home and really enjoy theatre filmed well in a kind of good environment, so you can see all. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it.
Can I tell you a story I heard about a Macbeth production of yesteryear? I cannot remember who directed it, but there's a sequence towards the end of the play, spoilers, where Lady Macbeth commits suicide, essentially. Yeah. And usually it happens off stage, usually, but in this particular production, they wanted to just see her kind of walking up to like the kind of the rampants of the castle and kind of just jumping off. And obviously, the actor's going to be falling from a great height at the back of the stage. They wanted to kind of catch her. So rather than put a net in, they put a trampoline in there. So
That okay. Yeah.
opening night, they watched Lady Macbeth. It's a very serious scene. Jump off the balcony, and then just saw her reappear again above. Disappear, then reappear again.
That's really funny.
Oh, a little tip for you as well. It's quite good. I've been doing every week with my family. By the way, I've been speaking to my family more during the current time we're in, than I ever usually have, using mainly House Party, but also I've been running the Darby Family Quiz once a week.
Okay. Who's the current leader?
My parents. Yeah.
Your parents.
I know.
Oh, as a team.
There as a team, my parents. So it's my parents, my sister and her partner, and my brother and his partner, and they're in different teams. And basically, there's these great websites online which have ready-made pub quizzes with all the rounds, including like the pictures round and everything. So, like, I send them the picture, the picture round bit just as we're about to start, and then I kind of, do a pub quiz for about an hour and a half or so. And it's just great once a week, and they really look forward to it.
Do you have a meat raffle afterwards?
No, I do give the winner a £5 Amazon voucher though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Oh, it's got to be legit,
Chris.
Sam. I know.
Can I join in?
What do they donate anything?
No.
Oh, right, okay, because this could be going on for 6 months.
I know,
and if you're doing that every week...
But this is all the dollars I would have spent in America right now.
Oh, so it's in dollars?
No.
So, so you couldn't get your money exchanged. You got a $5 Amazon voucher.
Just lots of them. Yeah.
Well, that's nice, Chris, and that's a lovely bit of kindness, because there is actually, if you are wanting to spread a little bit of kindness, then there is a game that will help you do that. Pete, have you heard of a game called Kind Words? Brackets, lo-fi chill beats to write to, close brackets.
Oh,
I love that name.
I have no, I haven't. No. Is this a card game or a video game, or
it's a video game?
Video game. So just like Chris has been spreading joy and kindness through his family by giving his parents £5 Amazon vouchers, I've been trying to relax and spread kindness throughout the internet by playing Kind Words, brackets, lo-fi chill beats to write to. This was a game I'd heard a lot about it when it first came out. It's made by Pop Cannibal, but it was only when I saw a video that People Make Games and Chris Bratt had made that it really struck me as something that I think that would have actually been of some benefit to me and my genuine levels of anxiety and stress and like mental health.
Yeah.
Because what Kind Words essentially is, and I know this is going to put a lot of people off in terms of the way I describe it, is that it actually is the world's nicest social network.
Okay.
Because all you do is it's a Steam game. You can buy it for £4, so your mum and dad could buy as many as they wanted. Now, Chris, because they got the money.
Yeah, they're in the money.
And you essentially have this picture of like a bedroom and an avatar who's sitting writing at a desk, and then you have this magical deer who acts as the post person, and you're left essentially in this in this void, listening to this really nice, relaxing, lo-fi, chill beats. You know, the kind of music you get on YouTube where there's that animation of that girl flipping through.
Studying, yeah.
Where you're at work and you're studying and you're working from home and you're just like, I really need to make sure I get on and do some work today. So you put that on.
You put lo-fi chill beats on.
Yeah.
And it's got that music, and the soundtrack is really, 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 really effective for the moment. And what you do is either one of, well, three things essentially. You can just leave it on in the background and enjoy the music. You can send out what they call a request, and that's essentially like a request for help from someone, or a request with a question, or to assist you in some way. And you just write like a short couple of sentences, and then it just gets sent away. And then the other thing that you can do is respond to requests. So you just get a heap of requests that you can just cycle through, and it's up to you to choose what you would like to respond to. And some of them are quite heavy and serious, like people who are really, really having difficult times, whether physically, emotionally, or with their mental health. Some people are just asking for nice new vegetarian recipes, or like, how do you stay motivated? Or, you know, I've got, I'm in a long distance relationship, like, what can I do to, you know, help us feel like we're getting a little bit closer? And some are a lot more detailed and very, very specific sort of problems. And you just generally, and you pick and choose what you feel like you could respond to, or maybe that you could help someone in some way. And it really feels like a place which fosters a wonderful sense of community. And I know that social networks always put across this image that they want to be the place where nice things happen, and they want to be the place where community comes together for the benefit. And I've never really felt it across, you know, Twitter, Facebook, or like Instagram. I've never really felt that sense of community, but I really do with kind words, because it just does enough to make you feel like you don't have to respond to anything. You can really pick and choose what you're answering. So therefore, I never really feel like I'm doing like psychology 101, or I never really feel like I'm giving someone bad advice, because I'm never being asked to respond to something I don't feel like I have any life experience to help with. And because how it works is you'll send off your answer to someone. Say the other day I gave someone a lovely recipe for some aubergine katsu curry for their vegetarian thing. I gave some help to someone who was having trouble feeling motivated, and to someone else who was feeling anxiety around being in isolation and what was going to happen to their parents. And then you'll never ever get a direct response from that person. The only thing that would happen is that you might log on the next day and someone may have sent you a sticker, and you never know who sent you that sticker, so you'll never know which piece of advice you sent got that response from them, because a sticker is a kind of way of you saying non-verbally, I really appreciated that. Because sometimes there's no real true altruistic act, but because there's an anonymity in terms of what you're getting this physical reward for sending, it really diminishes that sense of like selfish sort of benefit from like giving advice.
So it's not like I'm always not suspicious of, but I'm always I always try and keep my eye on is when you see that kind of activity in a very public manner on social media stuff, where it feels like a little bit of that, like, you know, I'm sure with the best of intentions, you know, a lot of it's very, you know, pure-hearted, but some of it does feel a little bit for the likes. Some of it is a little bit because, you know, I want a follow account, right? Whereas this sounds like you're doing it because it's altruistic.
Yes.
And
there's a wonderful little loop that I get in when I play kind words, and I genuinely play it because I've got a question to ask.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I'm really anxious about this today, or, you know, something's happened. So I'm just going to, you know, send off my request, send it away. And then I feel like there's a chance today that I can log on and really help someone.
Yeah.
And really be of assistance to it. And to feel that when you're playing a game is something that I've never experienced before. And I genuinely lose myself for hours playing this, because I get into a loop of sitting down, sending off a request, and then finding something I can respond to, and then really taking my time to craft, because you've got a limited, like, you've got like 14 lines to send the stuff off to. So really finding the time to craft a response that I feel will be of some benefit and try and help and try and guide someone through something or whatever. And then the beautiful thing about it all is when I finish doing that, the deer pops their head through your little window in front of where you're writing, and it's the responses to the question that you've sent. And I've had some staggering stuff, and it's a really nice way of, like, you get all these little envelopes and you peel them open and you read what people have written.
That's nice.
And they have sent like some incredible stuff that has just like instantly melted my anxiety away. And you know, that feeling of just like, you know, I am not alone in this, and like I am not the only one in this position feeling like this, and what I'm feeling is completely normal. And being able to step away from a computer and like close it and just like have a moment of like peace and mindfulness.
Man, I am made up for you. This sounds like a really lovely thing. Like, this sounds like one of those beautiful things to come out of a stressful thing.
That sounds incredible. I don't really know how to talk about another subject that doesn't dampen the mood or bring us down compared to that beautiful thing, that beautiful sentiment that's come from that game, which I will be buying. And I can imagine me just every morning beginning with just a little quick visit, just, you know, to set me right on my day, really. I think that's just lovely. I want to talk about murder and...
Oh dear! It's one of those things, isn't it? The thing is, like, people at the moment are always talking about like the elephant in the room, and like the problem that we have at the moment, right, is that you can't not talk about what's going on in the world, right? But also everyone's sick of it, because it's also not something that like everyone wants to think, because it's not nice to think about what this thing is, right? Like. And so you always end up with this. Situation where it's just like you end up talking about, you know, oh well, you know, here's some very serious thoughts on the matter, and you have a very serious conversation about the thing, and then like 30 seconds later, you'll be like, by the way, do you see that cool meme I sent you?
This is really tragic, but on the other side, PlayStation have just shown me their new controller. It's like, how do I balance those two things?
Yeah, it's just like it's just like, should I really be upset that I don't like the new controller design? Because really,
there are far bigger fish to fry in this world.
Yeah, no, I think that's it as well. And the other thing I think is, I think at some point you have to kind of acknowledge it and then just move on as much as you can, because otherwise you just end up like thinking about it for like ages and ages and ages.
You'll just be riddled with existential angst.
Exactly. And so, Chris, tell us about a nice murder.
Yeah, I'm glad you've returned back to me, because that's an awful thing for me to be left without context. I want to talk about murder.
Yeah, exactly. Is Veronica still there? Can you get her into the room so we check that?
It's important that we know she's safe.
Yeah, is she safe?
Yeah.
I'll send her a text now.
So
I've been playing a card game called One Survives, which was sent to us very kindly. Published by Tip the Table Games, successfully backed on Kickstarter.
Very good.
So thank you very much to them for sending that through. I'm really glad I have this, actually, because I've been playing a fair bit of set collection games. But what I quite like about this one is that it's a set collection game that has a theme, a scenario kind of around it, as well as player elimination.
Okay, so So is the theme? So just to be clear, the theme is murder.
I'll take it. I'll paint a picture of words, Peter. So
Please
it's a 10
do.
to 25 minute game, 2 to 6 players. So perfect. It's like your classic kind of like Friday the 13th kind of scenario.
Right, okay.
So you've got a high school boat trip that's gone wrong. You wash up on a seemingly deserted island to find that there is a lone killer on this island who elected to take themselves out of society, but now with you there, you're kind of bringing them back into being a kind of a murderer. And each of you as a player, you start in your own location on the island, and you have to try and find a way off it, really. You can try and light a signal fire, you could maybe fix the radio, or fix the boat. But at all times, you're conscious that you could be having to face a killer at any point who could strike.
Okay.
And it's very simple. You pick up a card. You either choose to play a card or discard it. So you put it on the discard pile. So players can choose to pick up a card from the draw pile face down, or they can have a look at what's just been discarded and help themselves to that. Wow. And these cards are really like a mix of objects and locations on the island, and some special cards, which I'll get to in a bit. Any location card that you play remains face up in front of you, and you discard your old one. That is where this player is now on the island. So everyone knows where everyone else is on the island, and you get like a little tiny map, so you can get a little bit of context there.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to do is collect a specific set of cards and get to a specific location with them. So, for example, if I get a battery, keys, and a propeller, and I get to the dock, that means I've repaired the boat and I'm out the game. I leave everyone else to face the music. Now, you may think, okay, standard fare. But what makes this really interesting is that we also all play as the killer as well. And we can all inadvertently make it difficult for other players, because you can actually also, a way to win the game is to kill the killer. So I can collect the required amount of items to assemble my own Molotov cocktail. And as soon as I've taken them out, if somebody plays, a jump scare card or a frenzy card at my location, I can then show them my complete set of items to make a Molotov cocktail, and that means I've killed the killer and we've all won the game. But like the reason why somebody might want to take out the other players is that they also win the game that way, because essentially the whole plot twist is there was never a killer, they are the killer.
They are the killer.
So
how does like, because I think player elimination is like the number one worst thing to put into any board game or any like multiplayer video game, really, because there's nothing worse than you've been eliminated and then you've got to spend an hour watching all your friends have fun. So, like, how does it deal with that in any way?
Well, I like player elimination, but only in very short card games. So I love Love Letter; it's one of my favourite games. And equally, this is a very short game. So if you're out, you're not out for long. And trust me, you'll want to be playing this like in best of 3 or best of 5, let's say, for example.
All right, okay.
And it becomes really interesting, because the first time you play, you're thinking, oh, that's not fair, I'm out of the game. But after that, you're then starting to look to see what cards people are discarding. So if I see, because you're getting an inkling in terms of what people's tactics are around the space. Because equally, I may think, well, actually, I don't want to kill anyone, I want to be very nice. But I discard a card that somebody next to me suddenly picks up. Suddenly that's telling me, well, hang on, whoa, they've clearly got an agenda here. But what stops it from you counting cards too much is that some objects will appear in multiple sets. So I don't know if What's-Her-Face is going to build a Molotov cocktail, or they're merely just trying to light the signal fire to escape the island.
So there's a sort of element of social deduction to this as well.
Yeah. And but it's so quick, it doesn't outstay its welcome. And I think, Sam, when we do Spooky Games Night, this is a perfect opener. Brilliant. It's light and breezy, super thematic. And yeah, it's definitely going to stay in my collection. I don't own anything quite like this, really. Yeah, it's really nice and really good fun.
I like the card art.
Yeah, it's really nice. It feels really within that kind of Friday the 13th style, really. Yeah. And there are kind of mixtures of things like werewolf, flux, even. Almost a little bit like a Mercer that we talked about a few podcasts ago. But it is its own thing, and I really commend and applaud it for it. And I'll I can't really recommend it enough, really. It was a genuinely lovely surprise, and a card game I didn't think I needed, but I'm really glad I own.
Awesome.
So, as you all know, I've got a slight addiction problem when it comes to roll and write games.
No, say it isn't so, Sam.
No, seriously, I had no idea.
Look, don't, because if you're like, your best tactic that you can play with me is like, yes, Sam, sort it out. If you start saying no, even sarcastically, which I sense a slight bit in your voice.
I've reached the point now where I'm actually quite curious to see how far we can push it.
Well, yeah, it is developing somewhat, and I am always keen to see what how the new places it's going to go is. So my most recent acquisition or roll and write style game that I've played is one called Silver and Gold, and this interests me because it's by our good friend. Well, he's not really a friend, but we played loads of his games before. Phil Walker Harding. So Sushi Roll, Sushi Go, Baron Park. He's worked with Cosmos on the adventure games. He's a pretty big deal. We all like at least one of his games. So this is Silver and Gold, and this is like, we've played you guys have all played Welcome to, haven't you?
Yes.
We played it last time we got together.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, we did. So that's a game. Welcome to is a roll and write style game, but instead of rolling a dice, you're flipping cards, and then what is on those cards is then the information that you then put onto your sheet. So Silver and Gold is a game that's similar to that, and it's produced by Nürnberger Spielkarten Verlag, or NSV, and they, in Europe at least, they have quite a lot of prominence because they release The Mind and Illusion.
Oh, right.
So it comes in this very, very small box. Importantly, it comes with the dry wipe markers that I love.
Yeah.
And it comes with just a little deck of cards, because this is a dry wipe roll and write, or a flip and write, I think as it's called. And I think that the reason why it interests me so much is that I think it's probably one of the best family games I've played.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that there's not that much complexity to it, but it's a game that's very good at keeping a wide number of people interested and entertained for a very short period of time. Silver and Gold is not a game it's not a game that I would play if me, Chris, and my wife were playing a game, but it is a game that I would take if, we were going to visit my in-laws, or if we were going to see my cousin or something like that. It's a game that if there was a wide variety of experiences, age, and exposure to board games, it would be one of the first things I packed, because it's just exceptionally intuitive in how it's designed. It's very, very easy. You each get a dry white marker, and then there are these decks of cards that have each got a certain grid pattern on them, like they are on an island in the middle of an ocean. And then there are 8 cards, and on each of those 8 cards is a certain Tetris style pattern. So 4 blocks in a square, or 3 blocks in an L, or something like that. And each of those cards gets turned over, and then you've just got to cross off that shape on one of your little grid patterns, as if you're a really awful pirate cartographer, essentially crossing off places you've searched on an island. I think that's the kind of theme that it's kind of going for. And you reveal 7 of 8 of those shapes, and then you shuffle them back in, you start again, you do that 4 times, and essentially whoever's explored the most island space and got certain bonuses from crossing off certain cards will get certain benefits and points from doing that, and then the game's over. Games take about 10 minutes, which is also why I think it's one of these a brilliant little family game because there's not that many games that I play that take about 10, 15 minutes. It's all very simple little mechanics and little systems that interact with each other in very, very simple ways. And they're all taken from little parts of Phil Walker Harding's other games, it feels like. But it's the kind of game that if you play it with your family and they go, yeah, we like this, then it's like, right, now let me show you some other things that I've got on my shelf. Because if you like that, then this is Barron Park.
So
this is Welcome to.
So this
is Ganshon Clever. Come on,
we're
going.
Oh no! So it's a gateway, basically. It's your first taste is free.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something and you're like, oh, I've heard a lot about these roll and writes, I'm not sure if it's for me, then I think that for a game that I think can be picked up for about 10, 15 quid, it comes in this tiny, tiny box with these excellent dry white markers, which are worth the price of admission.
You cannot impress upon us enough the quality of the dry white markers.
How good these dry white markers are.
Honestly, like I think Sam would just be happy if he went to the Sharpie Museum.
And also, there is a small bit of delight that comes from what you draw on the cards.
Yeah,
and unlike other roll and writes where you've got this like tiny pencil that you're drawing on tiny little bits of paper and trying really carefully to be really precise with your moments, it's quite nice to have this very quick, disposable, quick experience where people are just flipping over cards, drawing a shape, flipping over cards, drawing a shape, complete that island, right, I'll pick up another island. And it's got this wonderful pace to it that at first I think I gave it a bit of short shrift for. I thought like, this game only lasts 10 minutes. That means it's not really doing anything.
Sure.
But it was only when we like played it with different people of different ages, different experiences that it really kind of hit home what it does. So that may be something that might tickle you and your family or keep you and your family busy, as a palate cleanser to One Survives.
What a family gathering that would be.
Is One Survives a good family game, Chris?
For a certain family.
The Mansons.
Like your mum would hate it.
Yes, she would. Yeah, very much so. We'd have to just find other euphemisms for like murder and stuff. Famously, my mother, when we play Colt Express on the rare occasions, I go back to my family with my parents and play games with them. When we get out Colt Express, we can't call it shooting. We say we're giving a handshake to the other player.
Oh God, that sounds so much worse.
Question?
Yes, we have a question. It has been sent in to us via the power of the internet from @Bailey Neal. Hello, Bailey Neal.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you would like to send us a question, @StayingInPod is the Twitter. We're also on Facebook. And we also have an email address, stayinginpod@gmail.com. And as a side note, because loads of people are like trying lots of different things out at the moment, because obviously everybody's got a bit more time at the moment, I would really like some recommendations of things to check out. And considering I look after the email account, do email us with suggestions of things that like from hobby wise you've been enjoying, because I would love to read out a few of those and start looking
or a good film or a good
film,
TV show,
TV, any of the things that we normally talk about.
Because we're looking for things to do as well.
Yeah. And if you really want to pique Pete's curiosity, tell him one of two things: either it's super niche or he won't get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just start every email address.
Put that in the subject heading.
Subject to the subject line is it's Pete. This is super niche,
and you won't get it. I will immediately purchase it.
That reminds me, actually. Have you heard the joke about Sean Connery's sister's daughter?
No.
It's a little niche.
That was not worth the level of enjoyment you had in saying that joke. Because it's such a specific joke that the person listening is trying to work out what kind of relative you're talking about. We're thinking, okay, so it's his sister's daughter. That's obviously the joke is obviously around the. Oh, it's a niece. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shall I do the joke again?
No.
Please.
No, never.
Dan. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
Dishes Sean Connery.
What time does Sean Connery get to Wimbledon?
I don't know.
Tennis.
This is... All right, I like that one. Right, so Bailey Neal, at Bailey Neal, thank you very much for sending this in.
Sorry,
they have sent us a question, and the question is as follows. As a solo player of console games and a non-board game player, are there any great board games for solo playing? And I've actually had a good long think about this, so I actually have some suggestions for you straight out the gate.
I'm glad you have, because we've had literally about 4 seconds on this question.
Yeah, well, I do my prep. So I've got a bunch of suggestions for you while these three have a think.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right,
Come
fine,
on.
great. So the first thing I would say is it's a bit of a cop-out, but the first one is like you can go and play digital adaptations of board games, and they are all technically solo because you can play them all against the AI. So if you ever, if you've not played a digital adaptation of a board game before, it isn't just, there usually is an AI running thing. So if you did want to go and play something on your console, like the very, very good Istanbul or 8 Minute Empire, for example, they're available on Switch, so you can go grab those now. But if we're not doing cop-outs, then
No.
I would say a good, again, digital and a good digital board game is Card Crawl, which is a single-player card-based game. I believe there was a physical edition of it at one point. It's a solo dungeon crawl, but it uses a randomized deck of cards, and it's really, really entertaining. It often goes on sale. It's on mobile. I think it's on PC as well. That's worth a look. And then the other one, which I think you'd be missing a bit out of it, because I think this game is better with others, but I think to find out how the game plays, playing it single player, the first story single player would be really good, would be Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. So you can play those solo.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play one of those.
And I think that would be the sort of evening where I would have, like, there'd be a lovely, I might have saved like a very nice beer, for example, and like I put on some nice gentle music, light a candle, and
lo-fi chill beats to catch a murderer.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. And that would be like a luxurious evening. I would set myself aside 2 or 3 hours, and I would go, I will, because they're very precious, each of those cases, because you can only ever play them once. And I would play the first one and be like, ooh, that was exciting. Go on then, Sam. You were prepared the most.
Hang on, I've actually thought of one,
Oh,
which I know
Dan.
Sam will probably say.
Go.
Go on.
The game or series of games, I think will probably already be on Sam's list.
Yeah.
I know what Dan's going to say.
What?
No, go on. I'll see if it's on my list.
Go on, Dan.
I'm pretty much sure he will be on the list. From Cosmos, it's the Exit the Game series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've played quite a few of these. See, it is on your list. See, I've played quite a few of these, and these are kind of one plays, relatively kind of cheap to purchase.
Yes.
The idea, they're all in different settings, but it's you're usually based in a single location. You have to escape. Some of them do play around with the theme a little bit, but generally it's a escape room idea where, for example, you're in an abandoned cabin that's locked and you have to get out within X amount of time or else you die or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the game, you're given a selection of cards. You're given like a rule book or a puzzle book. You're given like a decoder. A kind of circular device, and you just have to solve puzzles, and each puzzle will lead on to another one and another one. But what's amazing about it is the fact that you've got the book, the cards, the decoder, everything at times needs to be torn up, needs to be ripped, needs to be written on, needs to be folded, all this different stuff. And you just have to, it takes it, for me anyway, it took a while to kind of get my mindset into it of not treating it preciously, because this is not a game that's going to sit on my shelf after I finished it. It's going to go in the bin. So once you get your head around that, you kind of like, okay, there was a puzzle at the back. You know what? This will be easier. If I can cut out all these pieces and put it together like a jigsaw, that's going to be easier for me. So I'd sit there and I'd cut all the pieces out and I'd do it that way, and then I'd be able to figure it out. I might put a bit of sellotape back over it just to keep it in place and like that. But they're great. I love them.
Yeah, they are good.
If you want a place to start, I can recommend 2 of the best starting Cosmos exit games. The first one being Sunken Treasure, because it's exceptionally linear and procedural.
Okay.
So if it's something that you've not really played before and you're sort of dipping your toe in, then Sunken Treasure is a great place to start. And The Secret Lab also is another good start.
Oh, Secret Lab is amazing.
Chris, do you want to go before I rant?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, Sam, because actually a few of these are games that I've played with you, or you've lent me. So for games that are strictly speaking one player, I've not really played many of those. So Friday, you lent me Sam. Yes. I've also played Onirim
yes,
as well, which is kind of quite a famous one, really. For me, one of the limitations that often prevents me from kind of playing games solo is the kind of setup and take down time. It feels quite laborious. Also, you haven't got that social element of acting, reacting off each other. But if I'm playing a game that naturally I'm spending a lot of time in my own headspace anyway when playing it, it's not too much of a difficult pill for me to swallow, really. The one exception to my rule, though, it's not even supposed to be a one-player game. I'm just one of these crazy fools who plays it solo, and that's War of the Ring, which is the equivalent of basically having a three-course dinner. I cook it from scratch, and I eat it all to myself. And it just so happens I'm in my pants when I'm eating it. Yeah. On a side note, me and my partner had a dal this evening, tomato dal, supposed to be 4 to 6 servings. We ate the whole thing. It's like ridiculous.
Oh, tomorrow morning is going to be hell.
Come on.
But War of the Ring, for me, the reason why I like that and why it goes against the rule is it's slightly asymmetrical, and there's something quite satisfying just having this. It's an event. The board is on the table. It's like I'm in a war room and I'm watching the pieces move around. As you were saying, Dan, beforehand, there's something quite nice about giving it time to puzzle it out, to step away from the board, think through strategies and come back. It's basically a game I play whenever my partner's away for the weekend, let's say, and I can take over the dining room table for 48 hours. Yeah. The game doesn't take that long, but I like to stretch it out because I like that downtime in between plays where I'm thinking things through. So it depends what kind of a pace of a game you really want to play, really. That, for me, determines what kind of one-player experience you're going to have. But Sam's now going to rattle off his extensive list. Here we go, Sam.
The king!
Take a breath.
The king has arrived!
Oh, here we go.
And he's going to... I need to flex. Tell you about the wonderful realms of solo board gaming, because it is my métier. It is what I do. Because
Lisa won't play with you.
Not all the games I play, my wife wants to play with me. Yeah. So, yeah, I do play a lot of solo games. It's why I own a lot of roll and write games, because they are perfect. In terms of, like, scalability, they are the perfect scaling games. So, here are my recommendations. I think straight off the bat, Cosmos, the escape games, yes, straight in there. 10, 15 quid, you'll be able to get them easily, and you pick the level that you want to enter in on. I think that Railroad Inc. is probably the best solo roll and write experience I've had, and also it's one of the best roll and writes full stop. So when you're playing with other people, you've got a scalable game in front of you that you can enjoy just as one person, but then also go up to four or six, I think, Railroad Inc. And it's the perfect sitting down with a cup of tea and just drawing and doodling on a dry wipe board, but the pens aren't that great. So what can you do? I then just briefly want to mention something like 4 Against Darkness, which is the game that Pete bought me for Secret Santa this year, which I have played a couple of times and have lots of fun. It's a solo RPG. Pete and I both backed Artifact, which is a solo RPG where you play as an artifact in a RPG story. And I also backed Delve, which is another solo RPG that you play with a pack of cards. But my number one recommendation, well, it's kind of two. I've got them both here. First of all is this heavy number, which is called The Maze of Games by Mike Salinka.
Okay.
So The Maze of Games is referred to as an interactive puzzle novel. And it's almost like a novelization of a choose-your-own-adventure game, but you're doing puzzles. So your characters might be lost in a maze, and as you're going through the maze, you'll trigger certain puzzles, which will then lead you onto, depending on what you get in that puzzle or how you solve it, you'll then you'll then move on to that point of the book, or then you'll come to this point of the book. It's a bit of a hefty one. I mean, it RRPs for $50 hardback, but currently Lone Shark Games, who produce it, have got a SOS sale on at the moment, and you can get a PDF of it for $5.
That's good.
Usually the PDF sales for $30. A warning though, it is 197 pages, double printed. So
that's a lot of pages.
Yeah.
So you'll also need to purchase a ink cartridge and a big pack of and a tree. Yeah.
And a tree and a big pack of paper. I was lucky enough to buy this and get it printed out by my local printers down the road just before lockdown. So I've got a lovely bound
Nice.
copy of
That's
it.
great.
Which is great. So that's one option. But my number one, if you're not a solo gamer and you want something to do on your own, which isn't looking at a screen, is to hop onto Amazon and buy Journal 29. Again, this is another interactive book game, and honestly, it has been it's been another savior to me in terms of wanting to. I'm not in the mood to read. I'm not in the mood to play something or watch something. I just want some time just to exercise my mind a little bit. Journal 29 is just, I absolutely love it. So it's a book which is full of 63 puzzles, and you generally do the puzzles sequentially. And what you do is it will have a page, like on this page, it's got 25 plus 4. And then you scan the QR code on the opposite page. You put in the answer that you think it is, and if it's correct, you get a key, which will usually be a word. And then you go on to the next puzzle, and you work your way through getting all these keys for all these correct puzzles, and then these keys will then feed into future puzzles and help you out. And it's such a wonderful... The idea of the Journal 29, it's an artifact that you found.
Wow.
So it's full of all this incredible artwork and this incredible mystery surrounding it. And it's got a wonderful community around it as well. So if you're really stuck on a puzzle, it's got these wonderful forum threads that you can go through that everything's hidden and spoiled. So you generally choose the flavor of hints that you want. Do you really want to know how it's all done, or do you just want someone to nudge you onto the right path?
Right.
So you've got all that in front of you, and I have an absolute blast. Most days I pick it up, I look at a puzzle and I think, what is this?
Yeah.
So it really feels like this wonderful, you're doing research rather than doing a puzzle. You're actually doing digging and archaeology, and
It's a treasure hunt.
yeah, like a treasure hunt, and you're using all this multimedia to help you through. And the community behind it are really good. They're really nice, and for people who've been stuck on a puzzle, they're never "Oh, you dummy." They're all super, and the book I think is £13. And if you're just getting into solo gaming and you're on your own at this time and looking for something just to keep your mind busy, Journal 29 is just love that stuff.
You've got me sold.
And that's it. That's another episode. In this one, there was me, Sam Turner, there was Peter Willington, there was Daniel Frost, and there was Chris Darby. And also Loyd Grossman, of all people. That was weird. Thank you so much for checking out the show. And we were serious. We want your help. We want you to tell us what you're up to whilst you're staying in and doing your best to pass the time. So if you've got something that you want to share with us, then send us an email. stayinginpod@gmail.com. stayinginpod on Twitter, Instagram. You can get us on there. Also, why not send us a message on Facebook? And if you are stuck for something to be doing whilst you're staying in, then Board Game Geek and Steam has curation pages curated by us. So if there's a video game or a board game you think you might like, then why not head over there and see what is on there. And of course, there are now 100 triple digits, baby, shows of the Staying In podcast that you can go back and enjoy to see if you can find something to do whilst you're staying in. If you can, then leave us a review, share us with your friends, but most importantly, please do stay safe. Follow the guidance that's relevant to you and your area, and please do take care of one another and those around you. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.